For decades, the conflict in the Middle East has been framed as a political dispute over land. But beneath the surface of diplomatic summits and peace plans, many believe a far older and more ambitious blueprint is being drawn. It is a vision of a greater Israel, a concept rooted in ancient religious texts that some Israeli leaders now openly invoke to justify actions that challenge the very foundations of international law. The theological core of this ambition is the concept of the Promised Land. According to the Hebrew Bible, God made a covenant with Abraham, promising his descendants a specific territory. This promise, detailed in Genesis 15:18-21, describes land stretching from the river of Egypt to the great river, the Euphrates. For many religious Zionists, this is not just ancient history, it is a divine mandate that is actively guiding policy today. The goal, critics say, is to make a future Palestinian state impossible. The strategy is two-pronged. First, there is facts-on-the-ground expansion, building more settlements and connecting them with infrastructure to cut the West Bank into isolated cantons. But now, they are moving to the second phase, legal annexation. In February 2026, Israel's Security Cabinet approved a series of game-changing measures. For the first time since 1967, it initiated systematic land registration in the West Bank, effectively claiming vast swathes of territory as Israeli state land. It also simplified the process for Israelis to buy land there and extended Israeli administrative and enforcement powers into areas nominally under Palestinian control. This ideological drive has found its most powerful expression in Israel's current government, widely described as the most right-wing and religiously conservative in the country's history. Key figures like Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich and National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir openly speak of a divine entitlement to the land. Smotrich has famously denied the existence of a distinct Palestinian people and called for the application of Israeli sovereignty over the entire West Bank, which he refers to by its biblical names, Judea and Samaria, from fact to law, dismantling the two-state solution. Narrator. This isn't just rhetoric. In recent months, the Israeli government has accelerated its expansionist policies at a breathtaking pace. Since the Gaza conflict began in 2023, the international community has watched as Israel has simultaneously moved to solidify its control over the West Bank. In 2025 alone, Israel approved a record-breaking 52 new settlements. Narrator. In Islamic eschatology, Jerusalem and Palestine are the central stage for the final cosmic battle between truth and falsehood. The Dajjal, a figure of immense deception, is prophesied to emerge and claim divinity, leading humanity astray before being slain by the prophet Jesus, Isa, at the Gate of Lod, near modern-day Tel Aviv. The modern state of Israel's actions, particularly its expansionist drive, are interpreted by scholars like Imran Nazar Hossein as a necessary precondition for his arrival. This concept is sometimes referred to as Pax Judaica, a period of Israeli dominance that will ultimately pave the way for the Dajjal to claim the throne of Solomon in Jerusalem. On-screen text, the theology of deception, making injustice appear just. Narrator. From this perspective, the ideology of Greater Israel is not just about politics. It is a theological project that perfectly aligns with the deceptive nature of the Dajjal. The Dajjal is described as having one blind eye, a metaphor for seeing only partial truths. He will make fire seem cool and water seem boiling, inverting reality itself. Look at the language used by Israel's leaders. Prime Minister Netanyahu has framed the war in Gaza as a battle against the biblical enemy Amalek, transforming a military campaign into a holy war. Smotrich and Ben-Gvir cloak their political actions in messianic fervor. In this narrative, violence is reframed as divine duty, occupation is justified as a return to a God-given homeland, and the displacement of millions is presented as a security necessity. This is the architecture of the Dajjal's deception, a system where war is sold as peace and injustice is made to appear just. As the State of Israel moves from security justifications to openly messianic claims over the land, and as it continues to redraw the map of the Middle East by force and by law, many believe we are not just witnessing a geopolitical shift, but a prelude to the final act. Whether one sees it through the lens of international law or divine prophecy, the question remains: are we watching the birth of an empire or the preparation of a throne for the great deceiver? The answer, for billions of believers, will determine the fate of the world. The response from the world has been swift but seemingly powerless. In late February 2026, 18 nations, including key European and Muslim countries, issued a joint statement condemning what they called an attempt at unacceptable de facto annexation that destroys the very idea of a two-state solution. The United Nations warns that the two-state solution is being eroded in broad daylight, but with its most powerful ally, the United States, unwilling to apply real pressure, Israel pushes forward, undeterred, a sign of the end times. The Dajjal and the false Messiah narrator. For hundreds of millions of Muslims and Christians around the world, these events are not merely political. They are seen as the unfolding of ancient prophecies about the end of the world and the arrival of a final, deceptive figure known in Islam as Al-Masih ad-Dajjal, the Antichrist.